because as I came out, I probably said, Igbo elder, a former Director General.
By divine, the good Lord Jonathan, by divine providence, became the president of this country. And by May 29, 2015, Buhari became the president of this country. So it is equitable, it is justice, it is in the interest of peace and unity of this country that Igbo should have their turn this time around. Your Excellency, this meeting today is not going to stop here. We'll continue to interface with well-meaning Nigerians to understand the need for power shift in this country. And the power shift we are talking about is that power shift will shift to southeastern Nigeria. That is the only way we can say that Nigeria is a just country. That is the only way we can say that Nigeria, especially the leaders of this country, are leaders who believe in justice, who believe in equity. If that is not done, then there is no justice, there is no equity in this country. Your Excellency, this powerful delegation before you today is being led.
The Arewa Youth Federation is a socio-political but non-partisan youth organization in Arewa with membership strength across the 19 northern states of Arewa, that is the North, as popularly called Arewa, with the following objectives: improvement of the socio-well-being of our youth, promotion of the quality and development of our dear country, Nigeria, involvement in engagements that has to do with the youth, the masses, matters that deal directly with the security and unity, as well as the economic progress of this country called Nigeria. Having said that, the Arewa Youth Federation, from time to time, dwell into visits like this to prominent Nigerians who, in their own way, have demystified service, have led by example, exemplary example, unique, rare, true, and qualitative leadership that constitutes the likes of His Excellency Dr. CHUKWUEMEKA, the former governor of Anambra State. It is in that light that we converge from various states of the North to do justice to a future that has been lingering and will continue to pester us in this country unless addressed decisively. It is that issue of leadership. I will take us back down to memory lane since the inception of this country called Nigeria. Our founding fathers had their run. They did what they could, and they stepped aside. From that period till this day that I sit and speak to you, Nigeria, like my brother mentioned, is made of three major ethnic groups: the Yorubas, we the Hausas, and our brothers here, the Igbos. The Hausas have had their own, mostly, at ruling this country. The Southwest, the Yorubas, had their own. By mere chance, like my brother said, by divine providence, a minority from the South-South has had a run at ruling this country. The Igbos, on the other hand, from the one, have been marginalized. Let me use the word marginalized. From the military series of military coups to the popping of Shagari's, President Shehu Shagari's regime, it has all been Southwest and the North. Southwest and the North. This country is formed by the Yorubas, the Hausas, and the Igbos. If you go back to the lane of history again, even pre-independence days, before Nigeria was pronounced Nigeria, the Igbos were doing well. We had a wealthy Igbo man who was into the business of importing and exporting shoes. It is on the back and sweat of this Igbo man that the whole concept of finance was formed, the issue of CBN. And then another example is anywhere the Igbos are, they are well-to-do economically. I give you an assignment, go to all nooks and crannies of this country. There's nowhere there's business that you will not find an Igbo man. I am from Kano State. There is an area called Ungwanjaba in Kano State. It used to be a dump site, a refuse where people pass their excretors and all. As I speak to you now, Ungwanjaba in Kano, very close to the airport, has been turned into something else. The Igbos picked interest, and the area has been transformed to the likes of building and houses we see here in Asokoro, Gwarimpa, and the likes. That is the Igbos for you. As far as economy is concerned in this country, you cannot rule out the Igbos. But these are the same people that have been marginalized. They were somewhat recognized in the First Republic, relegated in the Second Republic, further relegated in the Third Republic, and then reduced to nothing in this Fourth Republic. They are Nigerians. We are faced with the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Power shifts, just shifting power to the southeast will cure 80 to 90% of Nigeria's insecurity problem. And then the 10% remaining is attributed to unemployment. Now, unemployment, any country, any economy that is not boomed economically from the private sectors and other petty businesses, that economy is going nowhere. I'll give you an example. I am into business. I had the opportunity of going to Aba. You go to Aba, the famous Onitsha market, you see what these boys are doing. They produce shoes for you, and you cannot tell whether it's a foreign shoe or it's a shoe made in Nigeria. That's an example. They produce jungle boots for our military. They do a lot of things. You can imagine if the government will pick interest and then invest into these boys. What do you think Nigeria will be producing? And by virtue of that, where do you think our economy is going to be? The South is. Only the Igbos have this power and then have this spirit in them to turn sand to wealth. It is on this basis that we are solely calling for the shift of power to the southeast. If Nigeria is to remain as a sovereign nation, as an entity, if truly we crave the unity and peace we sing in our daily speeches, then power must be shifted to the southeast. Only on this basis and this solid foundation, we believe the unity, peace, and security of this giant of Africa will be restored. Like Professor Chinua Achebe said of blessed memory, though in language and tribes we may differ, but in brotherhood we stand. We are Northerners. We see the loops, we identify them, and then this is our solution, which is to partner with our brothers from the southeast and then take the affairs of this country, restore the lost glory of this giant of Africa, for we, the Nigerians, Africans, and the world to have a taste of truly what Nigeria is out to be. It is equally on this basis, and as this preceding points been said, that we deem it fit to come from all nooks and crannies of the North to identify with His Excellency, who is our father, and then present to him a token of appreciation from the North to say thank you for the services he has rendered to Nigeria and Africa as a whole. Your Excellency, sir, a poet from the United States of America, Ralph Waldo Emerson, said, without work, without ambition, one starts nothing. And then without work, one accomplishes nothing. The work has started. We have set the stone rolling. The relationship starts here, but is going to end in Aso Rock by the special grace of God. Your Excellency, sir, we have a token of appreciation. We want to gracefully and graciously walk you into our Hall of Fame. We want to present a token to your mentorship and then to the services of any true Nigerian from the Southeast who is willing and has the ability to pilot the affairs of this country straight to the Aso Rock. On this basis, a few IBC and the PDP, we have seen the body languages of all. I dare say that any party that refuses to shift its mandate to the Southeast will cease to be a national party, but a regional party dancing to the tune of very few Nigerians. And that is not the Nigeria we want to see. We want to see a Nigeria where I, from Kano State, will go to Umudike and feel at home. We'll go to Inewi and feel as if I am in Garumalam local government of Kano State. We want that kind of Nigeria, where my brother from the southwest will come down to the southeast, to the north, northeast, northwest, and feel at home. This is the right way to go. We have spoken. We are not going to stop at only speaking. We are going to match this with endless action until this mandate is achieved and until Nigeria is ruled by an Igbo man.
On behalf of the Ghanaian family of this noble organization, permit me to.
Thank you. Please get the course. Thank you.
Welcome, my sons from the north. Welcome, my brothers and sisters who are here. I recognize one thief, TV man. And then many of our leaders from the southeast. I'm not sure I'm ready for the reply because this young man has swept me off my feet. It has become clear that the problem of Nigeria is with people like me, older politicians, who have lost their consciences and are just plundering the treasuries of the country. I thank you for telling the truth to everybody. The power should shift to the southeast. And when it does, I tell you one thing, and I'm not trying to flatter anybody. When power turns to the east, we shall engage in explosive economic growth and development of this country. Our ancient maxim says, where you live, you develop. Ebe onye biko na wachi. So, the Igbo man will feel free here even to move to every nook and cranny of this country, and with it, develop everywhere. Everything the Igbo man does, whether it is trading, industry, mining, any economic activity, we do in the open. Therefore, everybody can see and emulate. And in our own system, there will be no almajiri. There will be no urban talakawa. We do not believe that God created anybody and destined that person to poverty. Therefore, every man should be able to maintain his home. Even if you have no basic education, there are things we will do to give you ability to pursue economic activity and take care of your family. It is not boasting. You have seen it. Look at the modern houses in Nigeria, wherever it is. We are committed to Nigeria. But the present government have been behaving as if they want to push us out of Nigeria. And our sons, our young ones, are crying. We must understand what IPOB is doing. It is not, we don't want to quit Nigeria, no. We are not going to quit Nigeria for any person. We built up this country, we're staying in this country, we are going to make it a powerhouse. Look at the resources God dowered on Nigeria. Our climate, look at it. I can stay out there naked and not die for a whole month. Any plant you can see anywhere in the world can grow in Nigeria. If it cannot grow in my village, it can grow in Gembu. Do you know Gembu? Yes. Very good. Yes. Plants and animals are surplus. Then talk about minerals. We don't even know all of them. Some foreigners come into here, begin mining without our knowing. Gold, you know it in Zamfara and everywhere, many other places. Gemstones everywhere. Is it oil? Is it cement, raw material for cement? There is everything available in Nigeria, and it is the design by God that Nigeria will achieve unmatched greatness and become a superpower among nations. But today, a country which before the coup in 1966, the World Bank said parts of Nigeria were growing faster than the rest of the world. Is it now today we are hearing that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world? Kill the march. So, my young men, thank you for thinking better than your older brothers and sisters. Thank you for endorsing fully power shift to the southeast, you will not regret it. Nigeria will become what God intended it to be because of all these resources given to us. Nigeria will become a superpower and rest the respect and dignity of all black on earth. No more will the black Americans be crying and saying, Black Lives Matter. God created us first. God created the black man first and gave us everything. But because we were more gifted, we were enjoying life, eating fruits and the animals from the forest, while the white man was suffering. The white man was suffering harsh natural environment. But they reached faster improvement because they had problems to solve. Eventually, the white man started looking at us and said, are these people human beings? Are they human beings or animals? That started the slave trade. But now, we know that God knows the end from the beginning. And God does not make mistake. Therefore, this is the time to rush up. We go to our knees and pray to our Almighty God and say, please, God, keep your destiny of greatness for us. And we, the Nigerian people, we use 2023 presidential election to put somebody who is known to be able to lead the country and the economy, to lead us to explosive economic development. And we come out to help the United Nations to organize the world. The whites have not been able to do it. Thank you for the honor, the personal honor. I'm enjoying it already. Where is the other one? Okay. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Over 80% of Nigerians are youths. You go to Japan, over 80% of Japanese are old. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. So the future belongs more to you than to us here. And if we have every reason to fight for that future, and that's what you are doing. Your job is a lot. Last time some of you came here and I gave you a rundown of part of our history and why you should support the Igbos. The first chairman, as far back as 1953, of Enugu mayority was a man called Alhaji Umaru Altine. Do you know that? So I'm a teacher. I need to teach you. I need to teach many of you. So write it down. He contested election against an indigene. Against an indigene of Enugu State. And he defeated him in Igbo land. So why we are saying this thing is to equip you with facts. When you go home, you talk to that coalition of Northerners that say Igbos are selfish. Igbos are not Democrats. Another councillor at Oguta, Alhaji Ajani was a councillor in Oguta local government about the same time, in the 1950s. The first leader of government in eastern Nigeria in 1952-53 was not an Igbo man. That's how expansive, how welcoming the Igbos are. What was his name? Professor Eyo Ita. Zik was in Lagos. Zik contested election in Lagos and won to the Western House of Assembly. I don't want to denigrate anybody, but facts are facts. When it was time for Zik to become president, become the leader of government business in Ibadan, the Yorubas who were in alliance with him crossed carpet. That's where crossing carpet started. So that Awolowo will become premier of Western Nigeria. That's a fact number 2. And I'm telling you this thing because you are younger than we are. I worked under Shehu Shagari. The Umar Idrikos were my cabinet members. You know them. And you know how authoritarian they could become. Shagari was overthrown by Buhari, a fellow Northerner, assuming that it was an Igbo man who overthrew Shagari. The North will never forgive us. They'll say, oh, but he's a fellow Fulani who overthrew Shagari. That's Buhari. And he put people like me in prison. I was in Kirikiri maximum prison for 1 year before I was released. With other leaders from the North. So the Igbos don't have monopoly for injustice, as people want you to believe. We are not unjust. That's why we're able to make a Northerner a mayor of Enugu when no other part of Nigeria did that. That's the Igbos. That's the people that are being maligned. But the world have recognized the Igbos as one of the most dynamic, prosperous minority in the world. Go and read an American professor who wrote about the Igbos. As whatever you say about the Igbos. In fact, they used an African expression. The hand cannot cover the sky. It means the Igbos are unstoppable. You cannot hide a golden fish. That's destiny. The Igbos has the largest single entrepreneurship market in the whole of West Africa. Not Aba, not Onitsha. It's not even in Igbo land. It's in Alaba. And that's because of our entrepreneurship style of existence. And that style is a subject of research and study by no other university than Harvard University. As I'm talking to you now. You think you can stop such a people? All we can do is radiate our greatness to other parts of Nigeria. In the United States of America, it's been noted that the Igbos are among the most educated ethnic nationality in America. In America, among the least qualified, Igbo man there has a first degree. And if you go to universities like Harvard, the Ivy Leagues, the Igbos have the largest entry. Here, I was Minister of Education. I know what I did to empower the North. I know what I did to empower the North. People like Jibril Aminu, who came after me as Minister of Education, noted that I was his worthy successor in education. And when my alma mater, one of them, honored me in the US, he sent a representative. I was a distinguished alumnus of the State University of New York, where I also taught. Why I'm telling you all these things is so that you can go back. Because ignorance is a disease. You can go back as young people and be fishers of men who will help to understand who the Igbos are. We're not as bad. Talk to Arewa Consultative Assembly. We have held meetings with Baba Ahmed and the rest of them. I was in Port Harcourt to help elect or select Atiku Abubakar for the presidency. I was there personally. Talk to him. One good turn deserves another. Let him support the Igbos. We have the people. We don't have to be going around. Look at that, professors. And most of them are professors from outside this country. That's who we are. So I'm really very proud of you. Very, very proud.
Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.